My name is Rakay, and I'm the chair of the Center for South Asia Studies. This event is part of Berkeley's Urdu Initiative, and here to tell you a little bit about it is one of the main architects of the initiative, my colleague, Professor Munis Faruqui, historian of Mughal India. Munis?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Sat Shri Akal. Khush Aamdeed. It gives me great pride to open a wonderful evening of storytelling, poetry, and music, featuring William Dalrymple and Vidhya Shah.
In the 1640s, when Milton was sitting in the drab monotone of puritanical Cromwellian England and was writing Paradise Lost and was trying to think of an image of grandeur, he chose to have God take Adam on a tour of the future cities of Mughal India. Adam is escorted through Mughal Delhi, Lahore, and Agra on his path through the future wonders of humanity. For a man of Milton's generation, this was no exaggeration. The rivalry of the poets in Delhi at this period is impossible to parallel with anything that happens in the poetry world today. The poets were very much the performers of Delhi at this period. There's been discussion in some of the papers lately about whether literature should be a matter of the interiority of writers, or whether it is a matter for public performance. I can see from some of the nods from the audience the references getting through. What is interesting, I think, is how much of a traditional performance literature in South Asia does have, from the literary discussions of the Sangam in ancient Tamil Nadu through to the musha'iras of Mughal Delhi. There is a strong performance of literature being something which is, at one level, certainly to be enjoyed by the reader reading in private, but also something to be performed, and even in the case of the musha'iras, is a deeply competitive thing between rival poets competing for the emperor's patronage. It is nonetheless the poetry of Zafar's court which is its greatest art, just as the poetry of Queen Elizabeth's court was its greatest art during the time of Shakespeare. It's not just as a centre of poetry that Delhi is remarkable at this point. There's an amazing intellectual revival going on too. In Delhi College and the other madrasas of Delhi, the old learning, the old cosmologies of the Hindu and Islamic worlds are being challenged, discussed, and slightly altered by the new learning coming in from the West. By the 1840s, this early period of honeymoon, if you like, between the British and the Mughals is fast wearing away. From that early period when 1 in 3 British men was marrying Indian women and cohabiting in Anglo-Mughal families, by 1 in 3 is between the period 1780 and 1800, it's down to 1 in 4 by 1800 to 1810, 1 in 5 by 1820 to 1830. These are the wills of the East India Company officials, each records these things when they were easily mapped and graphed. By 1840, it's almost over. You move from a world where 1 in 3 households is racially and religiously mixed to a situation of complete apartheid only 40 years later. In the 16th of May, 1857, the sepoys refused to bite the bullet. This is where the phrase biting the bullet comes from. And they are led away in chains and sentenced to life imprisonment. These are veterans of Afghanistan who stood by the British through thick and thin in the most adverse circumstances in one of the most punishing campaigns that the British have ever fought in this part of the world. And such is the horror at this high-handed treatment of these old veterans that evening, when the British are in church, it's a Sunday, the sepoys rise up. On May the 11th, the day after the rising in Meerut, the first rebels arrive in Delhi. They slaughter not only all the Europeans in Delhi, but also significantly all the converts to Christianity, the Indian converts. And what begins as a very hopeful uprising and a huge shock to the British begins by midsummer to descend into farce, as each successive regiment, which refuses to cooperate with any other regiment and has no leadership, goes individually to fight the British up on the ridge, but then disappears down to the city each night, losing all the ground that it's won during the day. Meanwhile, the British in Lahore, under John Lawrence, are recruiting an entirely new army, partly from the Sikhs of the Punjab, but also from the Pathan Pashtun tribesmen of Waziristan and the Khyber, the same people who are burning the American convoys into Afghanistan today and fighting the occupation in Afghanistan, are the ones who join the flag to loot Delhi. And in August, this army moves down from Lahore, down the Grand Trunk Road towards suitably sort of apocalyptic lighting. Thank you for that. As the lights flicker at the Delhi Ridge, the army moves down to take the city. And on the 14th of September, the new British army, this odd Pathan British Sikh combine of only 3 weeks sort of birth, enters the city through the Kashmiri Gate and begins a massacre of all the fighting age males who are alive within the city. This is a young officer, Abu Baibad, 19 years old. The orders went out to shoot every soul. It was literally murder. I've seen many bloody and awful sights lately, but such a one as I witnessed yesterday, I pray I never see again. The women were all spared, but their screams on seeing their husbands and sons butchered were most painful. Heaven knows I feel no pity, but when some old, grey-bearded man is brought out and shot before your very eyes, hard must be that man's heart, I think, who can look on with indifference. Having evicted the rebel army and having captured the emperor, who through his wife does a deal with Hodgson, the intelligence officer, that he will be spared, along with his wife and his son Joan Bakht, the British then head off out of the city in order to pursue the rebel army towards Lucknow, where they're planning to make their last stand. The emperor, who surrendered, is kept in the stables of the Red Fort. And there he's put on trial, and it's a show trial of a sort we've seen subsequently with other conquered leaders. A fantastical plot is dreamt up, again with disturbing contemporary resonances. It is said that this uprising, which in reality has drawn in all sections of society from India, ranging from Muslim noblemen to Hindu sepoys to tribesmen in Madhya Pradesh. It is said that this wide-ranging uprising is in fact an international Islamic conspiracy centered on Tehran, you'll be surprised to hear. These old jokes go on and on and on. So that last image that we're left with before the last Mughal is deported is of this old man deprived of pen and paper, still writing poetry, with a charred stick on the white walls of the stables of the Red Fort.